Hello and good evening. Good evening, Simon. Good evening, King Ovi. I like it. I like the style. You're going to have to explain that in a minute for anyone who's wondering what on earth it's about. But here we are again at the end of week 3 or the beginning of week 4 of the Ulaya Chronicles Kickstarter. That means we have exactly 1 week to go, or kind of 6 days really now. Which is all very exciting. Today or overnight yesterday, I'm not sure which, we broke the £60,000 mark and the 600 backers mark as well, which are both huge milestones. My biggest milestones were definitely breaking the totals of the last Kickstarter, but we are way past that now, which is great. Exciting times.
Yeah, that's great.
So
I look at
Go on, Sean.
No, I was just looking. We're almost at 1,000% funded. That's awesome. And the backer number is great. So thank you, and welcome to all the new people to the jungle who haven't gotten into Ulaya before. It's great to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I've been saying to you during the campaign and to a lot of people is this is not, the obviously a large part of the buzz is from people who already play Drowned Earth and who already love the world and that kind of thing. But of course, most of the backers, actually, interestingly, most of the backers are not Drowned Earth players, have not come from already knowing about the game and about us, but either they've liked it on Facebook but never bought in, or have been watching from afar, or they've seen some buzz about this new Kickstarter and are coming in to join the rest of us in the community because of that. And I think that's awesome. It's good for everyone. I think Ulaya Chronicles is a good a stepping stone into the Drowned Earth if that's where people want to go. So yeah, really positive, exciting, and fun stuff, I think.
Yeah, one of the greatest things for me is seeing that some of the most vocal people have been new members to the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and I've been the old guard, for want of a better word. It's seeing these new visitors that are the ones that are getting really hyped up.
In the first Kickstarter, that was we definitely found you two guys were some of them. Dominic, Matt McClelland. There were a bunch of people who really sort of supported the Kickstarter really heavily and who become mainstays in the community, which is great. And it was great the first time around. It was really encouraging for me that I didn't feel like I was suddenly doing this thing alone. But this time around, there are a bunch of new names. And actually, I have to say, I'm sitting here drinking a rather flowery, extremely hipsterish IPA. With the most awesome have a look at that. I don't think you'll be able to see the logo on the glass because it's such a pale beer, but it's the same logo, and I got sent that by Dan Walker as a thank you for he'd lost his Korean arm, or he cut it too badly or something like that. And I posted him out one and said, don't worry about it money wise, because it's it's the cost of a stamp. And several days later, I got some awesome beers and an awesome beer glass in the post. So here I am enjoying it. So thank you, Dan. But Dan is definitely one of those names of new people. Of course, Bryce has also been incredibly supportive and really been championing the game, which has been great to see. Although he's not a new face at all, we all know him already.
I should call him King Ovi. I know I gave myself the nickname for everything during the campaign, but that man is head dinosaur all the way.
He could be King Utah.
Yes.
King Utah has a nice ring to it, actually.
I like it.
You can be King Ovi too.
So, well, what's been going on? What's the news?
Well, for me, I had last week a bunch of fundraisers for my theater work. So that took me crazy. In the world of our little fun event, Pirates versus Dinos, I've been able to go around my my condo complex and take some good photo shoots and get those out to help Team Dino get some achievements.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I've really enjoyed just popping onto Instagram and Facebook and having a look at some of the things that people have been doing. So
yeah, there's a couple of really cool comics out there. One guy even did a comic movie. I think it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's the comic style.
Yeah, that was exceptional.
With sound.
Yeah.
Keep those cool things up, man, and keep posting them, and that'll help just drive interest from other people to be like, what the heck is this? And come see the Kickstarter for our final week.
Well, we need to repost a bunch of those. I think we need to. We can publish links to them.
Yeah.
Maybe we could make a page on the website which it collates links to all of those things.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then we can just drop into the comments section or drop into a campaign update. If you want to see some cool stuff that the community has been doing, then head over to this link and check it out, kind of thing. Something like that's probably a good idea. Let's get on that.
Yeah, the guys have been absolutely smashing it.
Yeah. It's fun to see, and it's well, in today's update we have our first unlock. So the Team Pirates is lagging a little bit behind. I think they had 86. They need 100 to search their first island. Team Dinos managed to search their first island and have unlocked some really cool spawn tokens. So alternate metal spawn tokens to replace the card ones that come in the box. You can make little objective markers from them, and they're little egg nests, because what else would a spawn marker be? And what we'll do is I haven't put those in the add-ons section yet, because if Team Pirate manages, where are you, Dominic? If Team Pirate manages to pull their finger out and actually do some work, then they might unlock something similar but thematically closer to the sort of pirate ethos, and we'll bundle those together as a pack of 3 of each. So then you've got exactly enough to replace the cardboard tokens in the Elia Chronicles core box. And they'll also, as there are 6 of them, they'll make excellent Drowned Earth objective tokens as well. So cool stuff.
I was starting to get worried that Captain Blue would have flown off and left everybody, but hopefully it's going to be a late charge.
Yeah.
No. He just posted. They are not behind. They are getting ready to charge. So beware pirates from behind.
Okay. I think he's made several people walk the plank. There's been a mutiny, and they're all in disarray. But they're going to come back hard in the last week. So another 50 points to unlock the second island. So a little bit of work to do. And today we announced another initiative, a sort of social goal, where we've got another strange map or parchment with a section cut out of it. And when everybody scores points, and you score points by, I'll go through it in a minute, but you can check out that update. It's update 9, I think, that went out today. And basically we are uncovering something. What could it be? Anyone is welcome to guess. I'm absolutely not going to answer. But slowly but surely, I hope we will uncover the picture, and then that'll be something else cool that's added to the Kickstarter over the coming days. Let's see. Sorry?
I'm not sure about your word cool. That seems a very calm word to say.
Well, yeah, you know me, the British understatement.
Very much so.
I mean, I think people are going to lose their stuff over it when they see it.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. But well, we promised something else today, didn't we? We've been talking for a while about the Ceratops, and I'm really pleased that today we managed to throw out a stretch goal. Well, a number of stretch goals, but at is it 68?
68.
68,000. We will be unlocking the ankylosaur as well. So I know opinion was very divided amongst.
There's going to be a few happy people.
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to do both, but of course it's just a function of money. They're really expensive to do, and so you have to calculate all of those things in, which is boring reality of running a Kickstarter. But I think firstly, there aren't enough people on stream to show them the Ceratops sculpt. What have we got? We've got 21 people watching. Rubbish. We've got to get to at least 30. Get your friends. Make them come on. Anyone else who who's backing the Kickstarter, go and find them. Post on Facebook. Moan at people in the Discord. It's got to be done. I actually meant to. It's silly of me. I meant to link this in the update today, but there were a lot of links in the update today. One other thing, I guess, while we're chewing the fat and waiting for the big reveal. If anybody has any more questions, then feel free to throw them our way. I'll try and make some time at the end of this stream. We're going to make it a short one again, but we will make some time at the end of the stream for a quick Q&A session. So what else is there? Yes. So how do you help uncover whatever is on this parchment? Well, if you're not a member of the Facebook fan page, then you can go and join that in update. Is it update 9? Update 9. The one that went up today. There's a link to the Facebook fan page. If you haven't liked the Facebook page, where have you been? That you can go and like that as well. Twitter, Instagram, very important is the mailing list, particularly important to me because there are certain things I announce on the mailing list that go there first. And I don't like to, I hate spam as much as the next guy. And I also know there are a couple of mailing lists I'm on that I just never read because they send me about 3 a week or something like that. I can think of one in particular, a Spanish hobby company that I'm like, oh, come on, nobody ain't got time for this. It's like, I could do a degree in their mailing.
I think of an Irish one that send about 6 a day.
Yeah. No, it's nuts, and nobody wants that. We don't even send out once a month. I send one when there's news. And I've been very careful with the Kickstarter that, most people who are on it are probably backing the Kickstarter. So they don't want to receive all of the Kickstarter updates and a whole bunch of updates on the mailing list as well. So don't worry about being spammed. That we're definitely not going to do that. And in addition, you can unsubscribe at any time as well. What I would say about these achievements is as people start to unlock it and they start to salivate over what it might be, please don't game the system. Please don't get a whole load of friends to go and like the Facebook page who don't actually like the Drowned Earth. Like we want all of these things to be honest and above board and not kind of spammy. So Twitter, Instagram.
That means don't start creating accounts.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, Facebook fan group, Discord channel, and the mailing list. So Discord channel is a good one as well. There's lots of activity going on. And somebody said to me, a friend who doesn't really follow the Drowned Earth but is interested in the Kickstarter, they were saying, I get the impression this Kickstarter, even though it's way more money, it doesn't have the same amount of comments. People aren't really sort of talking a lot in the comment section. I'm like, no, because they're all on Discord. They're all, sort of, and there's a whole load of photo sharing and people sharing their hobby stuff. And
it's been great to see just the amount of the chatter and the amount of new chatter, like Simon said, of people that are really showcasing and getting into it. So it'll be cool to drive the energy from the Kickstarter when we close over there and keep the energy going until we actually get the game in our hands.
Yeah, I think
100%.
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, we always used to have a certain amount of of discussion on the Facebook group, but since we started the Discord server, it's gone through the roof, and this campaign's skyrocketed even more. You put your phone down and for 5 minutes, and you have to come back and spend half an hour catching up on everything that's been written.
Yeah. I'm afraid to say I wish I did, but I just can't. I haven't got time. But it's always really nice to sort of scroll through and see how much activity there is and how much people are talking. And one problem for me is that, and I think anybody who runs a business which is largely operating on the internet nowadays knows this. People send me Instagram, they bought something on the website and they send me a message on Instagram asking about their order, and I'm like, oh, all of the different social media channels, I cannot possibly monitor them all with 100% efficiency. I do get to them eventually. Twitter is probably the one I'm the worst with because Twitter's an interesting one. There are some games that only exist on Twitter, but the vast majority of war games, there's definitely a wargaming community on there, but they don't really tend to locate around particular games, but just talk about painting or those sorts of things.
I think you're right. It seems to be like the second account for hobbyists and painters to share their work. It's not really so much for the games themselves. Yeah,
and I think the same's true of Instagram, but Instagram, I think, is one of my favorites, actually, because there's just so much cool stuff on there. It's a really great opportunity to share not so much the marketing side of things, but actually just say, I took some really cool pictures of, some of the models on the scenery, and people seem to like them.
100%. I think you're right, especially with a game like this, where it's so aesthetically pleasing, the imagery, whether it be the models, the artwork, whatever. That's what grabs people on the Kickstarter, and Instagram is just a wall of the stuff that people want.
It's all about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're up to 26. 26 isn't bad, but it's still not good enough. I'm trying to stretch this out as much as possible. I'm actually dying to hit the share button. Of course, I have
people frantically trying to create YouTube accounts at the moment just to
I think we've got some. Obviously the stretch goal that everybody's the most excited about, I imagine, is the Ankylosaur. We've just unlocked the Troodon Alpha, so that's another dino type from Drowned Earth that you'll be able to use in Alaya Chronicles if you want to, or in Drowned Earth you'll be able to use those models as AI. And I look forward at some stage to doing some proper AI scenarios for Drowned Earth as well. I think that will be fun. Making scenarios which are specifically built around the idea of those AI models. They're protecting something, or your objective is to capture one of them, or tag and bag, that kind of thing. I think that should all be pretty fun and exciting. So there's some good design space going on there. But I know. Also, go on, Sean.
Just one of the other stretch goals that are coming up. I know about the weapons, and I kind of understand the weapons. It's lots of new options. The equipment cards are new to me, and those are kind of interesting and intriguing looking.
So during the course of the campaign, there are certain, we've got the deck basically of scenario cards, which are divided into heat and objective, and also in certain scenarios there are other extra cards, and we saw in one of the tutorial scenarios that we had the a little equipment deck, and that why not also have equipment cards which are not just found in scenarios, but are things that you can actually buy or upgrade to add some extra character building strategic options to the different characters as they level up. So that's the idea behind those. They just add a different way to increase and upgrade your character rather than just getting skill cards and weapons. So strategically, they'll do slightly different things.
Plus, it'll be really nice to go and visit the market or the bazaar.
Yeah.
Oh, neat. Do you have an equipment card or idea in mind, just to kind of tease, to show an example of where this equipment could go with the game?
Yeah, so there are things like, for example, you might head to the market and you might buy a bag of strange fruit and mushrooms, which have various different properties depending on your circumstance during the game. So they might have healing properties, they might have soporific effects on your opponents.
Please don't give Bryce more stuff.
Yeah, wait a second. Why are we calling Bryce King Yuda? He should be like Dilo in chief or something.
Yeah, probably.
He's on the chat now. What do you want to be, Bryce?
But I think even at this late stage, it's important for me that some of the stretch goals are still things that just improve the core box. Because it's obviously we're not Cool Mini or not, and we can't just shower lots of free stuff left, right, and center. But what we can do is just continue to add value to that core box and put as much stuff in there as possible, and just make the campaign itself as interesting as possible. And then I know all of the Drowned Earth players want cool add-ons, and we'll find ways I think of working some of those add-ons into the campaign optionally. So the idea is, if you have this thing, then you can use this. If you don't, then you'll use this instead. That sort of thing. So, for example, maybe there are several different large dino scenarios which use the baryonyx from the core box. But if you want to swap the baryonyx out for Ceratops, you totally can. And maybe there are some things in the campaign that actually determine whether you're supposed to do that, provided you have the option. Somebody did ask whether we'd put a Ceratops standee in the box, and it basically comes down to whether there's enough room, and I have a sneaky feeling that there won't be. Those punch boards are getting kind of big because they've got the scenery tiles on them as well as the standees, and in addition, I really like the idea of having measuring sticks on the punch board as well. If that's something we can do, it's something we will do. And in an ideal world, there'd be a number of different ones at different sizes, all of the main sizes of the game for ease of use. So that's where we're going with that.
Very cool.
So is it time to answer a few questions?
I think it'd be rude not to.
Yeah.
I think Scott's had a great idea, and one that I saw in a Facebook from a very wise person, that everybody pledges for the Ankylosaurus, we get it.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. That's the way Kickstarters work.
Yeah,
you totally can do that.
It's £30 as an add-in, right?
Yeah,
that's the one.
So if you want that Ankylo, just add your £30 right now.
It will fly us past the Ankylo stretch goal and then make James have to cry into his pillow again.
and find some more. Yeah, well, we're definitely getting to the stage where we're running out, because this is we're now. Well, there are two things. Number one, we are past the point that I thought if we did really, really well, we would get to. Well, we are nearly past the point where I thought if this Kickstarter went fantastically well, way better than I thought it would, this is how many stretch goals I need. And we're about to get over that. And the other thing is, the reason why I set it where I did, I could have spaced them out more. That would be another way. If I thought we were going to get into six digits, then I could have and would have just had to space them out more, because and I've said this on streams before, so I won't labor the point because it's boring to anybody who's heard it. But for anyone who hasn't, obviously we are a tiny company, and our tiny company is me, basically. I have a lot of help from playtesters and from you two guys helping out with the Wayfarers program, but ultimately I am the only designer of Olmec Games, and I also run the company and the fulfillment and, you know, all of those sorts of things, all of the day-to-day boring parts of running a business as well. And so there are only so many hours in the day. So there comes a point where you can't, even if financially you could make more stuff, you actually don't have time to develop those rules. And so we're kind of at that stage now where I'm going to have a very, very busy year, and I'm very pleased about that. But any more, and we'd actually start to jeopardize the deadline. And unfortunately, any software developer will be able to tell you, or anyone who project management in general will be able to tell you that you can't just hire more people. That isn't really the way it works. In the long term, it is, but you can't get instant expertise and half the workload by doubling the workforce. You know, you'd think you could, but you really can't. And so, you know, we're also limited by the amount of play testers we have, and the amount of play testing that the existing play testers can commit to. That's something which we can improve. If any of you fine chaps who are watching now want to join the beta testers, and indeed if you want to join the Wayfarers, then reach out to one of us three and we will get you hooked up. There are some forms that need to be filled out and things like that, but that's completely doable. And, you know, hopefully that's something that a lot of people during the who've just come into the ecosystem, so to speak, will get involved in playtesting, because that'll help out hugely. And
I think there's another thing that we mentioned it briefly in previous stream, James, but literally 10 days before this Kickstarter went live, there was still and ahhing as to whether or not we were going to push it back. Yeah. For concern that it wasn't going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I got I'm sure he's not watching, so I'll just say it. I got a very snippy message from, like, slightly passive aggressive message from somebody bemoaning the fact that there wasn't a rule book, and I said, yeah, I'm really sorry about that, but, you know, oh no, I don't know anything about the gameplay, he said. And I was okay, you know, I understand, you know, we haven't published the rule book, but I felt like I wasn't snarky back and said, like, the million playthrough videos which are published on the page, but, you know, there are quite a few, and his answer was, you know, it's better to cater for all your backers. Some people prefer to read, and I think that's absolutely a fair point. And in an ideal world, we would have done that. We certainly did the last time, but I felt like there wasn't much point in me wasting time I didn't really have, page setting and making the rulebook presentable and proofread and professional looking. And if I wasn't able to show it in a presentable and professional condition, then I think it's detrimental to show it at all, because you guys know my level of attention to detail. You guys have got the first rulebook, and you guys know the way that I write rules and how fastidious I am about it. And so you guys have every faith that that will be the same this time around. For somebody who doesn't know that, to see a really shoddy Word document that, you know, is spelt badly and doesn't have consistent wording and what have you, because we haven't done all those quality control passes, it might just put them off altogether. So I felt like it was way better to show videos and say, you know, this is what the game is like. This is your experience of it. These are the rules. It's better to watch somebody else play it and actually see it being played than read the rules and try and imagine how they'll translate into a game. Because we all know that reading a rule book doesn't give you a real feeling of the way the game plays. You've got to get it on the table to do that. Especially anybody who's ever play tested knows you read some ideas and you're like, that sounds like it's not going to work, and you get it on the table and it really works. Or you read something and you're like, oh, that sounds great, and you get it on the table and it just completely falls apart in the first 5 minutes. So yeah. Anyway, big digression there.
Just got to look at the early drafts we had of this when we were sitting around your dining room table. Yeah, having a go. It's a bit of a different beast to that now. It's
also changed entirely and become much more streamlined. I don't foresee there being many changes to the rules now. I think we're now in very much the same place as we were before the Kickstarter with Drowned Earth, where we have a very solid core set of rules, and what's going to change is probably the presentation, and probably there are going to be some minor tweaks and changes and clarifications to consolidations to just make the experience as streamlined as possible. Because you all know me, that's my sort of mantra.
It's such a smooth experience at the moment. It's just a matter of adding flavour in and pizzazz now.
Yeah. So just looking through the messages, Christian Woodhouse says, any chance he can pick his up at Salute? And will we be presenting Elia Chronicles at the show? Well, presuming Virageddon doesn't last years, we will certainly be there. Will the Kickstarter have been delivered? Well, it's due in June, so that might be cutting the deadline. Basic answer, don't know but if it's ready to be shipped by around Salute time, then certainly I will give people the option to pick up.
I saw one fun question for you, James, in the chat. If there was no time restrictions, no money restrictions, this is your pie in the sky, what would be the one dino that you would love to make?
I would like a fully flying Quetzalcoatlus. Like one of those. They're basic.
Solid choice.
They're the size of They were the size of an aeroplane, and for a long time, the paleontologists thought this thing can't have flown. Like it must have evolved to wander around on the land. It's basically the size of a giraffe while it's standing, and then when it spreads its wings, it's just an absolutely immense thing. Really cool. Would take up half the table.
The alpha air.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, I mean, like, money is no object, right? So I want it fully robotic. I want it flapping around, preferably with magnets, making it levitate.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No flying stands around here.
Yeah, anybody with a pacemaker like goes into cardiac arrest on the floor anytime they go near it.
That or every box comes with a small child to run around making sounds.
I'm just gonna repurpose an air hockey table. You know, I'll tack down everything that's not it, and then it just kind of hovers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool question.
There's another question from Scott. So he said, so we've talked about if Raptor Island does well, that we'd continue with more expansions for the Elia Chronicles. If that's the case, obviously this could be considered a success. So will this be an annual Kickstarter, or just when we have a clear idea of something that's ready from playtesting?
I feel like running one around this time next year is realistic. I feel like that's a realistic goal. I know nowadays nobody obeys the rules about delivering on your last Kickstarter before starting your new one,
or second or third.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like if nobody else is following those rules, then I don't really feel that I'm obliged to either. What I would say is that I'm not going to jeopardize the delivery of this one to start working on the next one. I mean, that's a dick move and would stress me out no end anyway. I don't like sailing close to the wind like that. I'm just too cautious by nature. So yeah, you know.
I did see I saw a question about backer kit. When will it be open? How long will it be open for?
Impossible to say. To say. At this stage, to give people an idea, I think last time where we had a similar delivery date of a year, We opened it the month about 3 weeks, I think, after the Kickstarter, and then it stayed open until about a month before delivery. This time it will probably have to close a bit earlier than that because we've got a Chinese shipment in the production pipeline, and so I will want to be more sure of the deadline before I shut it, and basically I'll want that buffer zone of being able to say, okay, we've locked this down. It's now on the boat, and you know what people have ordered is going to come off the boat and go to them. You know, so there are some logistical differences between this time and last time. But basically, the answer is it's going to be open as long as it can be, because it's sensible from my point of view for anyone in the next year who didn't back the Kickstarter. But wants to. Late backers can't sign up for Kickstarter pledge levels. They can only buy the stuff through BackerKit, so they don't get the pledge deals, basically. But from a logistics point of view, it's way more sensible to ship out those orders with the Kickstarter as well. So it's in everybody's interests to leave it open as long as possible.
Yeah. So don't panic, guys, that other people who weren't part of the Kickstarter campaign are going to be getting what you've got. So that's not the case.
And another thing to note, I think, is that it's also in everyone's interest because people have changes of address and things like that, which can be stressful for them, that they've ordered something and suddenly they remember, oh God, that Kickstarter that I backed 8 months ago is coming soon and I've moved house. And if we close it too early, then it's really hard for people to then change their addresses and things like that. You, at a certain stage, you lock them down, but in an ideal world, you lock them down as late as possible.
Yeah. Just on that note, James, because somebody mentioned it in the Discord earlier, shipping. I mentioned that it would be probably best to not up their pledges by the amount that they're shipping, because at the moment we obviously don't do that, because also we might get the shipping for less than we did last time. In certain places and not others, the shipping was a bit less than advertised. So yeah, we'll work all that stuff out when in BackerKit. And again, it's a bit closer to the time that you can once I've started looking at the scale of the project and the scale of what's been bought, then we can start to do deals with fulfillment companies and get people the best deal. So I reckon do you reckon time for one more question before we look at the number of viewers?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, I was zoning out there. For some reason, I thought you were talking to Sean.
So Jamie asked, will the 4 UC heroes be playable as their own faction within the Drowned Earth, or at least all within one faction?
No, they will not. But they are even more useful than that. They act as a multi-purpose kit to have unnamed heroes in any faction. So they're basically troops, unnamed troops. And so the hero box is going to come with 3 profile cards for each faction. 3 unique profiles for each faction, troop profiles basically, and you'll be able to build the characters in various different ways in order to put them to that kind of purpose. And we'll also, I think now this one of the next unlocks, it is the next one, for I think 62,000, which we're nearly at already. That is going to be a few extra weapons, and at this stage we're now the box won't ship with those extra 4 weapons, but if you've bought it in the the retail box won't, but if you bought it in the Kickstarter you will get those. But we're now also going to sell a pack of 8 weapons, 4 arms and 4 extra heads as a little blister pack, so that you can buy a box and a blister to get your full options. You don't have to buy 2 boxes if you want, for example, 4 double-handed axes, that kind of thing.
That's way too kind of you, James. Should have made them buy 2 boxes.
Yeah, well, you know, this is why this is why I don't have any wallpaper on the walls. You might have noticed.
Oh, so there's a question in there. Do we know the size, height, and length of the Ceratops?
No. It's you would not believe how much difference adding 2 millimeters to the length of a model makes to its overall mass and what's the word?
Girth.
Table presence. And so basically what I do is I do a number of different 3D prints at different sizes, and I pick the one which is most suitable for production. Sometimes you just find that the details on a model are too fine and too thin, and it needs to scale up a little bit. Otherwise, that element is going to break or get lost or bend too easily or something like that. And sometimes it's the other way around. The model just ends up being too big. But you would not believe, however many of these you do, you can't just look at a computer screen and say, oh yeah, that needs to be 33.7 millimeters and print it out and it's perfect. And 0.7, 33 and 33.7, they really do look different. And, you know, when you're trying to marry up the scales, I used to be really, before I started doing this for a living, I was really judgmental about ranges that had different models with poor scaling. So they had two models which really don't look like they belong from the same range. Do you know what I mean? Because the scale is a bit off. And actually, I realized that it's an incredibly difficult problem to solve unless you only use one sculptor over and over again. But yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: you're going to see the render, and he comes on a 50mm base, so he's going to be, I guess, around 100 millimeters. He's going to be a big chunky model.
Chunky
like
lad,
this.
chunky lad.
Is it time?
I don't know. 27. The problem is that every time a few people join, a few people leave. So maybe it is time, and we'll just. I don't know if you can hear my cat complaining. She wants to be let out.
The cat wants to see it too.
Another reason why we need to wind this up is I've kind of got to the end of this, and to go and get another one, I'm going to have to. Simon, you're joining me on the Scotch. Well, it's what I normally drink. We're on the hipster IPA today. It's actually excellent, I have to say. You see something with a fancy label, and you're like, yeah, I bet that's all style and no substance. But
I thought the beard growth was starting to get to you, and I was going to see you riding a penny farthing or something stupid with a pocket.
Well, I mean, you know, wearing a Giacomo shirt.
Exactly.
Well, yes, I suppose let's get to it, shall we?
Here we go, everybody.
We've gone down from 27 to 26 to 27. Now you'll have to bear with me because I've got to work out how to actually do this. Here we go. You excited?
So much excitement.
I mean, I don't feel much excitement going on.
I think Bryce might actually explode in a second.
Oh no! Wrong one.
What was that?
You saved it.
We're gonna come back to that in a minute. Well, that was the something extra. I don't know how they've changed in the order from when I tried this when we were offline. Weird. Well, you're not on the Scotch? I am sure. I wish I was. Then I'd have an excuse. Right. Hang on. So.
That's woken everybody up. YouTube just jumped.
Oh, yes.
Okay, weird. Here we go.
Here it is. There she is.
Dun, dun, dun.
So you can see that she is basically as big as she possibly can be while still fitting on a 50mm base.
I am glad that she cannot climb. There is no way I'm balancing her on my terrain.
Yeah, she doesn't need to climb. She's just gonna headbutt things until you all fall off them.
And she has some serious questions for Forik.
I've got questions as to whether I can use her to destroy terrain. I think I might have to make some rules for that.
I reckon there's probably some inspiration in the alternate rules chapter. But we're going to have an Elia Chronicles profile card for her as well. And in addition, we will have a herbivore AI deck. And there'll probably be a couple of special symbols which will trigger specific things which happen on her profile card. The Ankylosaur will use the same deck, and there'll be certain special symbols which will trigger abilities which are exclusively on their card as well. But I don't know. Do people like it? Bryce
has just gone. Yep, mine too.
If I tell him the frequency is 5, does that
5?
We may fund the Ankylo very quickly if that's the case.
I've got to eat, right? I don't know. There's a well-known miniatures company that takes a lot of flack for designing rules specifically to promote sales and to make money. Maybe
couldn't imagine maybe that's
maybe that's the road I should go down. I joke because everyone knows it's not true. But
would that be the ones where a box of 10 models was like £12 10 years ago and it's now the left kidney?
I don't know. I think they'll take the right as long as you don't mind some crumpling on the box.
Water damage on the edge.
Exactly. Right. Well, my great reveal of the something extra, which is also pretty exciting, is totally ruined because I showed it ahead of time. What am I doing? It changes the order that they're set in on your.
I'm sure there's a few people that blinked when it came up first.
It's a little bit odd. All right, never mind. Let's try that again. Actually, looking at what it's called this time.
You ready, guys? For those that didn't see it the first time,
which is exactly nobody.
Its name is Tyler Durden. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
So basically, this is going to be. I think we might use it as an objective marker, but this will be an unlock a little bit further up the line. And I quite like the idea of a scenario of mother protecting her baby. I don't know what kind of monster would want to win that scenario, but that's a thing. Maybe you want to capture the baby so that you can train it up at some stage in the future to be a mount or something like that.
James, you're just trying to recreate Land Before Time in your own game, aren't you?
Considering Land Before Time is basically just a remake of Bambi.
Exactly, but much better.
As a firm player, I can tell you that those probably have a hefty fee on the black market.
Down straight. There's definitely some remarket, some market value going on there. But let's have a look at both at the same time. I think the scale is slightly out here. We want the little one to be a little bit smaller than this, but it's 58. No, nobody wants your opinion on anything.
I think somebody I saw was interested in a 60 millimeter base Ceratops. You can scale that up, right?
Yeah. Well, the problem is 60 mil bases are not commercially available. Believe it or not, I would actually have to have them made specially, and we don't do the kind of volume where we can do that. You better believe it's something that I've looked into.
Screw it. 30 mil under each foot. 30 mil under each foot.
There we go.
Okay, so that's both.
Oh man.
That's both together, but as I say, the little one is gonna be scaled down probably by about 30%, I think, because it needs to fit on a 30 mil base, but also you really want it to look like something that you could pick up and cram into a knapsack, so that you can run off with it and try not to get massively murdered by mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty cool. I'm quite happy with those.
And to answer Dan's question, no, that's not the Dino Hunt creature. So you've still got something to work towards for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dino Hunt creature is going to come free. Everybody's going to get it, whatever it is. Sort of I definitely found that of all the different options there were in terms of combinations of herbivore, carnivore, or feathered or unfeathered, the feathered herbivore is by far the most awkward option. And like any other combination, but any one of the other 3 combinations other than that would have been fine. There are loads of options. The options on this are somewhat restricted.
It can't be any funnier than your reaction to the results of the last one, when Liliana got to the end of Liliana and you just went, huh?
What is this crazy purple thing? I love her though, actually, because I've made so many people cry using her. And I remember to begin with, playtesters, the first time, do you remember, Simon, the first time round, first pass on the rules, people were like, well, okay, but I don't really see the point. It just seems a little bit underpowered. And then we had to tone her down. Because she was absolutely lethal. Yeah, just again, but yeah, it's template weapons.
Looks like Mr. Snowiak has given the baby a name already. Apparently, it's going to be called Muffin.
I mean, Muffin. I do call her a rhinoceros sometimes. She's not the most graceful of cats, and we've got wooden floors throughout the house, and she jumps off something that's like thump thump. Like it's definitely like a Jurassic Park moment when she wants to be fed.
And she lets you know when she wants something as well.
But yeah, no, I'm happy with the cool Ceratops, and I thought we should probably save it for an unlock reveal, and then I thought, no, let's just show people now, and they know it's coming. It's something to work towards after the Ankylo. But
what Ankylo?
Well, I mean, it's out there in black and white now. Presuming we get there, that's another question.
Remember, guys, everybody pledge £30.
But yeah, I mean, I hope the Ankylo will get unlocked as well. It'll be really cool, because then we can kind of make 2 scenarios, and you can basically one scenario that's optimized for the Ceratops and one that's meant for the Ankylo, but you can swap them and see what they're like with the different choice. Something like that might be fun. Cool. So I reckon we're close to winding up. So I guess we're ready for a few more questions before we leave.
I saw 2 from Mr. Snowiak. One, where was it? Any plans for orangutan? I forget the official name of the orangutan race.
They're Abeli. So the reason why we haven't seen one so far is because they are pacifists typically, and so they don't really have a particularly good combat-ready role. How shall I say this? One thing that has occurred to me while we have been working on Elia Chronicles is that everyone likes an NPC model. Everyone likes a non-combat model. Everyone likes those kind of more role-play game-like models. The reason why games don't do them is because although everyone likes them, they don't really sell very well, which is a big shame, because I think basically it's one of those things that everyone thinks the idea is cool, but everybody's hobby budget is limited, and typically people buy the stuff that they're actually going to game with, and not expensive scenery, let's be honest. And so I think NPC models tend to fall into that category. With Elia Chronicles, where we've already done it, where we've got a bunch of pirate models which are basically, all right, they're combat models, but they wouldn't necessarily have to be. And it occurred that because we did the pirates this time, and we're not going to release a new faction every time we every time we release a new Elia Chronicle, the idea of fitting some non-combat models which are integral to objectives play a narrative part in the story and a mechanical part in the scenarios which aren't combat based. That is a really appealing idea to me, and I think that that's a way to get those non-combat models commercially viable, because they ship with a scenario which they're needed for, basically.
I can't help but feel like one of them called Hawkins who runs the bazaar.
I like it. I like it. Is that I still, obviously I haven't had time for any recreation while doing this, but was that something that happened during your RPG session?
Possibly.
That way.
I saw also any new teases from the Gene Stealer minis.
I don't want to say anything because I'm speaking for other people. So all I'll say, we had 2 dropouts, and they were the 2 people who never got back to me, and so I'm assuming neither of them, their names rang any bells, and it's actually, I surprised myself by how many names I recognize, and I remember a bunch of names from the first Kickstarter, possibly because I wrote every address out in my own blood while fulfilling the last Kickstarter, so those names are indelibly etched on my mind. But they weren't people I'd heard of, and so and they didn't get back, and I kind of think it's strange to drop £750 on a really exciting pledge level and then not be excited about it. So I was kind of assuming that they weren't really committed, and so we had a couple drop out and then one more drop in. So we now have 5, and what I will tease is the factions which are currently represented, because that's in stone, and I don't think anybody will mind saying that. So we've got 1 pirate, 1 artifactor, 1 militia, 1 wayfarer, and a firm. So far, there are no bondsmen represented, but you never know. We might get somebody hop in the last minutes, because we've still got 2 spaces left. We increased it to 7 because somebody really wanted to get in, and I'd been talking to them for the whole campaign when the last one was taken, incidentally, by one of the people that dropped out. And I sent all the Gene Splicers a message saying, do you guys mind if we bring in 1 more? And if you do, then we won't do it. I'm committed to, you pledged on the basis that there were 6, and if it upsets you to have 7, then we won't. But if you don't mind, then cool. So anyway, we brought an extra 1 in. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We might get a few more by the end. It would be great if we just had 1 of each of the current factions. That would be nice.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing more of those personally. Yeah. We're having a fun conversation, or fun conversations about what they're going to be. And I think one thing I can say, this isn't really a teaser, but we will definitely have them done and ready and available in Backer Kit before Backer Kit closes. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something for people to think about. And again, not just for the back, not just for the Gene Splicers themselves, but everybody would be able. We're going to make a profile card, an Elia Chronicles profile card for each of these types. So, as well as using the core box of heroes, you could also swap in 1 or 2 of the Gene Splicers instead.
Oh, fun.
They won't have different profile stats. It'll just be a cosmetic thing, because obviously the roles in Elia Chronicles are all like pretty tightly balanced, and the upgrades and things like that are quite tightly balanced. So it's just a cosmetic thing, but it's a bit weird to play with a tank that's a monkey on the card, but actually it's something else. The miniature is something else.
Cool.
Just checking. The frog was the tough, right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we all know that. Are we done or any more? We could field a couple more if there are any. Otherwise, we're happy to hop off.
I think we're good. And be sure, like, if we missed your question, throw it in the Kickstarter comments. If you've got more things you want to know.
Yeah, good point.
We all troll through there and try and keep the communication going as much as we can.
Yeah, it's really nice to see when people have little conversations, and I like the thing that Kickstarter does now, where when you comment, you can reply to somebody else's comment, so it creates those threads instead of them all just stacking up, and you have to tag somebody to reply to them, kind of thing. So that's good. It means that people can have little conversations, quite easily and quite nicely. I guess the other thing to say is now is definitely the time. We're in the final week. If there is anyone who you think might be interested in backing the Kickstarter who hasn't already, now is the time to send them a link to it and tell them to check it out. Now is the time to post on your personal Facebook, any groups that you're a member of on Facebook, any painting or hobbying communities, anything like that. They might just be interested in the miniatures. Now is definitely the time to pitch in, and really, if you feel like promoting the Kickstarter and you're excited about the stretch goals, then dropping the link in a few places would be really welcome. And that kind of stuff is really helpful. That sort of enthusiasm.
Shout out from the rooftops, guys.
I think that's probably a wrap, unless there's anything else.
No. And then we'll have a celebration stream next Tuesday evening. Yep,
it will last possibly about 10 minutes, because I will be 15 minutes away from collapsing in bed with nervous exhaustion. But yeah, this time next week we'll be streaming the Kickstarter. We'll have finished at that stage. It finishes next Tuesday at 4 p.m. So yeah, good stuff. Any final words from you two guys?
No, I'll see you guys around. From both me
really
and,
happy with how it's going, guys.
Yeah, keep on putting up your fun posts and keep on the treasure hunt. There is an end. And
get your hashtags right. Like it's really hard to find them if you misprinted that, if you've typed the wrong thing. Yeah, cool. So see you all next week. Happy promoting, happy backing, and watch the updates over the next few days, because we've got some fun ones. Dino hunt tomorrow. It'll be the final dino hunt with a poll, and then the one after will reveal what we found and what everyone is getting for free, and it will be built into the Ulai Chronicles scenarios. I think it's not going to be something we'll use in Drowned Earth, except perhaps as an objective. But it will be a specific Ulai Chronicles part of the campaign. Maybe you'll get a little companion, or maybe, depending on how the vote goes, you'll have a little thing to fight against instead. But yeah, good stuff, guys. Thanks very much, Simon. Sean, thanks for joining me, and we will see you all this time next week.
See ya.
See you later, guys.